But that reminded me the one time in which I gave money and I received money in return. You can have it be so that everything that happens in your life only adds to you rather than take from you. I want you to hold this idea or this thought with you throughout this video, because we're gonna come back to it later and it's gonna make more sense. For now, recently, or for a while now, I've been noticing that there is a real surge in self-help content, self-help books, self-help videos, self-help whatever content, whatever form it might take. People who promote self-help, whether from a spiritual perspective point of view, or whether from a psychological one, or even plainly just a scientific or empirical, perhaps neuroscientific point of view. People are becoming more and more aware that they are in fact creators of their reality, that they can completely transform their lives by shifting their mindsets, by changing some things about their lives, by doing something else, people are becoming aware more and more that life is a journey, and you go through it, you experience down times, you experience up times, but much of it is meant to lead you, is meant to direct you, is meant to guide you to whatever you seek in life. But what's very important to also know about all of this content, all of those books you're reading, all of those self-help videos, breakthrough videos, is that none of it is linear. None of it really has to work out the same for you as that person who's making the proposition, who's sharing his teachings, who's sharing his knowledge, that he very evidently arrived to, that she very evidently, came to understand, to realize out of life, through pondering, through exploring life, through exploring themselves, through research, whatever it was for that person. So videos like, signs that you're about to break through, signs that you're about to shift your reality, including my own videos, signs that you're among the chosen ones, signs that you're about to become successful, signs that you're about to receive, a huge sum of money, signs that you're about to find your soulmate, all of this. I've experienced everything that was mentioned in all of those videos many times before, yet I've not experienced what those videos propose. One of the important things also to note is that all of those videos, or all of this content, or all of these books, they come with the base assumption that you are in fact on the same journey as they are, that you are seeking that thing which they are promising. You wouldn't click on the video otherwise, you wouldn't pick up that book otherwise. But the thing is that you might be on the same path but have a different journey. It really depends on who you are. You might be at a different stage of that path. You might be in the same path, but your journey is completely different. You might be, coming from a poor background and trying to find financial abundance. You might be coming from a very dysfunctional, toxic upbringing or a relationship, and you might be seeking a very loving, unconditionally loving relationship. You might be coming from failed experience, failed business after another on top of another, and you might be seeking, that breakthrough success that you can create with your business. Yet all of the confluences or the cofactors on your specific journey might be different. It really depends on who you are. It depends if you've healed that aspect that same person has healed. Maybe you have a fear of, you still did not address your fear of venturing into the unfamiliar, venturing into the change. Perhaps you still have a comfortable life that that provides you with the basic necessities, and deep down, really deep down, you're still seeking this more. You're still resonating with this more than with that which you seek, than with your future, than that which you are pursuing. And that could change the whole journey for you. That could make some of the signs, could make you experience some of the signs longer, way longer than other people. Yes, I was lonely at some point, at many points in my life. I experienced loneliness. I was in solitude. I've experienced very challenging times. You know, I was at that stage of almost giving up, yet I've not experienced, you know, a breakthrough or a shift in my reality at that point. You know, many of those videos, including mine, you know, that you have to experience, you know, a period of loneliness, a period of solitude, that anyone who's made it, you know, they went through a period of solitude to figure out themselves, to figure out what they want to do, to avoid distractions, to really get in touch with who they are, or, you know, to experience a very antagonizing experience beforehand. You know, that once you find that everything is happening against you, there's so many triggers that are trying to get you out of yourself, that are trying to force you to relapse to your old self, to your old habits, to your coping mechanisms. You know, those are signs that you are almost about to shift. You know, once you hit rock bottom, it means that you're only gonna get up. You know, there's nowhere to go but up from rock bottom, and that's a very good sign that your reality is about to shift, that you are about to break through if you're seeking it, if you're truly seeking it. The fact is, the only thing that I found to be a real sign in you experiencing whatever that you are seeking is that you have given that thing enough momentum beforehand, that you had given that thing more momentum than its opposite beforehand. For example, if I'm trying if I'm seeking a life of a complete different, you know, not, you know, a life without my 9 to 5, a life that I'm not dependent on a paycheck, a life that I'm my own boss, that I'm self-employed, that I'm working from home, that I have a multi 7-figure, you know, business, successful business. Yet I do now have a 9 to 5, and it's paying me relatively, you know, well. I'm living, you know, a little bit better than paycheck to paycheck. What I'm trying to say is that you have had to give that future and that you're seeking more momentum than the one you're already in. So if you're very resonating, if you're feeling very comfortable, and you're giving that life you're in enough energy, whether in an interaction, whether in trying to be it so much, you know, trying to be the best at what it is, and being so affected by its, you know, down periods, if it's not going well, if your job, you're very reliant, you're very connected to it, you're very dependent on it, you're very much giving it so much energy, positive energy, negative energy, you're sharing yourself, you're attaching, you have so many cords of energy connected to that thing, more than with your future. Then this simply is gonna be, although you might be seeking your future, and that's creating the loneliness, that's creating the fact that there are many challenges, because you are seeking, you're aligning, you're trying so hard to align with something mentally, but your emotional system, your physicality, your emotionality are aligned with something else. You're split. Perhaps even your emotions are aligned with that future. A part of your mentality, a part of your actions, part of your emotions are aligned. So you're split in two halves. And whatever is happening to you, going through alone times, going through struggles, you know, hitting rock bottom is trying to force you to make a decision. Are you more aligned? Do you really want that which you seek out of the future, or do you want to remain in which you are? Because anything that you are really giving energy is trying to seek you back, because you're seeking it even if you're more aligned with what's happening to you currently. And so to seek you back, it's gonna give you signs all over the place that, are you gonna come? Are you truly gonna start seeking me? Or is it this just, you know, or are you gonna run to the first distraction? Or are you, so you're gonna experience the same signs, but you're gonna go through them for longer periods. You're gonna have to be alone for longer times. You're gonna have to be with a toxic partner for longer. Because do you really want to break up and find a more unconditional loving relationship, or do you want to stick in that feeling of safety and security and, you know, familiarity, and you don't want to, you're so fearful of change and this and that you would rather deep down you're really calling onto this to remain your reality. You're really asking God for this to be your reality. But yeah, you're daydreaming about this different one, and you're seeking it out. Perhaps you are, and that's why you would click on that video. You are on the same path, yeah, sure, but you are more connected to your present, which is the opposite of that future. I've experienced all of those signs before. I've experienced major antagonist experiences. I've hit rock bottom more than once, more than twice, more than 10 times. Yet I did not experience a breakthrough at many times of them. I did not experience a shift in regards to that aspect many times of that. And that's because I have not had enough momentum towards that which I'm seeking at that point. And that's what truly makes all the difference. Now, you could choose that each and every one of those things that happen to you, all of those, each one of those signs, to really add to you rather than take to you. Meaning that you could choose that each and every one of those signs to really be delivering on what they promise. Yes, if you experience loneliness, if you experience the negative, you cannot experience the negative for very long. Life is all about balance. There is a really, whether it's in the karma, whether it's in the universal laws, whether it's in the fabric of existence, there is a balance that happens. You do not go sad and bad and miserable and distressful and all of that and fearful for long unless you are taking your quota of the opposite. So if you're going through the negative and you're experiencing loneliness and miserable experiences and struggles and hitting rock bottom, but you're relying on your coping mechanisms, you're always, whenever it happens, whenever it comes up, whenever you feel in such a way, you go to you drink, you start drinking, or you start watching, binge watching a series, or just majorly avoid through staying all day on social media, on scrolling up and down, on hanging out aimlessly and going out for a drink and going, indulge yourself in other, pleasurable experiences, high intensity, instant pleasurable experiences, high dopaminergic experiences. It means that you are already taking your quota of the opposite, yet it's very unfulfilling because it's very momentary and it does not deliver on your long-term seekings. It does not deliver on what truly is your calling. It's fulfilling you, it's giving you the balance, but through a different means. You're taking your balance through different means, and that delays you. That makes you experience everything for longer and then come out on the other side as just another lesson. Perhaps you've grown a little bit on the inside, but nothing externally. You're not experiencing a breakthrough or a shift in regards to those aspects that you were promised through that video or through that book. Once you go through this and that, you're gonna have this happen in your reality. Well, it did not happen. What's going on? What's going on is that you've already, used up your quota of that thing, used it up in a different way. You've given that reward a different image. You've already forced your way through a reward. And so it's important to know that nothing is linear. It could happen, it could not happen. And at the end of the day, many paths could lead to your end results, could lead to what you're seeking, could lead to your breakthrough. I've always been saying this, that healing or awakening could take many forms, or just experiencing a breakthrough in your reality, a complete transformation in your life, a shift in your reality, a real shift in your external reality. To me, there are three ways that you could go about with having this happen for you. The first one is, simply, I'm gonna briefly just say them because it's not about them, but you could get yourself there, or you could awaken through those. You could have the meditation path, which is the devotion path, the connection path. You could have the commitment or habit path, or you could have the shadow work path. So in other words, you could meditate your way there, you could shadow work your way there, or you could force your way there. Commitment, habit, discipline is forcing your way there. Going against all of your natural impulses, going against all of your feelings, all of your good feelings, all of your passion, just doing something, whether it's aligned with you, whether your heart is in it, whether you're passionate about it, just doing something over and over and over and over and over and over again. Commit with real commitment, that it ends up becoming your habit, that it ends up becoming something that you don't have to force, and then it reaches alignment. When you're not any longer forcing it, you become aligned with it, and you become a seeker out of love rather than out of forcing and desperation and fear. Because as long as you're forcing it, it's not yet out of love or passion, and it won't happen. But then you could skip through the part in which you meditate, you connect, or you simply, become really deeply aware that you are more than just the physical. It could be simply a walk in nature, connecting with an ancient, huge, grandiose tree, and finding that, becoming aware that, you could be happy that this life is so beautiful, regardless of what's going on for you, that regardless of what your ego is suffering with, life is beautiful. I'm way more than just this ego. You come to this realization, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through yoga practice, whether it's through, just a healthy, low dopaminergic lifestyle, and that it gets you detached from the ego and connected to a higher meaning. And so this, as you meditate, it raises your frequency to align with that thing. You disconnect from the ego, you disconnect from your egoistic desires, you disconnect from your fears, from your struggles. As you meditate more and more, you connect further and further. You raise your frequency to align with that thing, and then the first action you take is going to be out of love, out of passion, and it's going to manifest it way faster, instantly. Once you start taking, those inspired actions, they're gonna come to you. You're gonna feel as if you already want to do them. You're not doing them for the sake of forcing that reality, of needing that reality, but you're doing them because you want to. You would love to. And similarly with shadow work, you heal all of the aspects that are all of those trap traumas, all of those trap blockages, all of the obstacles that are keeping you from having that thing. You break yourself down to bits and pieces. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Why am I... that reminds me, just the other day, a few weeks ago, I was going to the sink, I was gonna wash my hands, wash my face, and then my sink has like the cold water tap, it's leaking, so I have to turn off the main from below it, the main that gives the water, for the main only for the cold water tap, not for the hot water. And so most times I would just go and use the hot water tap because I don't want to get down and open the cold water tap, and so I would just use the hot water tap before it gets very hot, and I'll just use it if it's just for a minute or for a few seconds, and it wouldn't get to the point in which I can't handle it, and then I would just close it and I would not have to open the cold water tap. And this time I thought the cold water tap was open. It seemed to me that it was open, because it was leaking, so I thought it was open. And then I went for the hot water tap, and I went, I did a balance because the water is still cold, and the water was really very warm, but not like it was not anything I couldn't tolerate. And then it took a very long time. I was washing my face and I was doing this and that, and it took some time. And then once I closed the hot water tap, and I was about to sleep, so I went down to close the main that gets water to the cold water tap, and apparently it was already closed, so there was no cold water tap altogether. And I let it go, but that got me wondering. I'm giving you that example for an example of shadow work, because I did this with everything about my life, 7 years ago. I was so deep into shadow work, into figuring out myself, into exploring myself consciously. Why am I doing everything? Why does everything happen in my life? Why did this go that way? Why did that happen that way? And at this point, it got me wondering, how did it not get so hot? It was on, the hot water tap was on for much longer than it should have taken to get really hot, that I couldn't handle it, but yet I went through it all without really getting hot. And that's the law of assumption, that's the best way. I won't get into the details, but this was a manifestation. This was a mind, simply the power of my mind, of my beliefs, of my assumption out of life. I had no inkling, I had no bare minimum assumption that this water would not work for me, because I really believed, completely 100% believed, that the cold water was on there, and so it was balanced already, so it wouldn't really get that hot. It's one of those things that got me wondering once again, how does manifestations work? How do you really manifest anything? How do you really get, because that what led me to understanding, I've been through lots and lots and of negative experiences, of good experiences, of this and that, and each and every time I've asked myself, how did it happen? And that really tells you all about yourself. That tells you all that you need to know about yourself. That tells you everything, that you have to do or not do to get to where you are. That will give you all the signs you need. Because at the end of the day, no one knows you better than yourself. No one more than you can tell you what you should do or what you should not do to get there, or to have this or to have that, or to manifest this or that. I would do this with everything. I would ask, how did this experience happen? How was I feeling beforehand? How was I feeling, the last week? What difference did change within me, since yesterday, since the day before, that did this thing, that created that thing in reality, since last month, that created this in my reality. And that will give you all of the answers. And this is the path of shadow work. Shadow work, you would end up, with a little edge on the side of understanding, of knowing, of the knowledge that you've gained, about the realizations, about the clarity you've gained about yourself, about life. You would have a critical edge to you because you got into that very analytical mode style of things, and you've broken things down to bits and pieces, yourself included, most importantly. And as such, but all the paths are gonna lead you there. The meditation path, the hard work path, the discipline path, it's all gonna get you there. And you're gonna experience signs throughout each and every one of those paths. And you can choose, you could have all of those experiences, all of those things you experience work out for you, add to you. Just like at that period, I was breaking down each and everything to bits and pieces. Everything was teaching me something. Everything about my day, everything about others, everything about my interactions with others. Why would I react in such a way? Why that person react in such a way? What was happening? How were they? But simply going and watching a video that tells you, if you give, you're gonna get back tenfold. If you're, that's the law of attraction. If the secret, about manifestation. If you're giving money, if you're giving to the poor, you're gonna get back tenfolds. That just, I've given my entire life, and I did not necessarily receive. You receive it in different ways. You receive it all along. If you really observe your life closely, if you think about everything that's happening, maybe you received it as a protection. Maybe you received it as, a protection from something that would have hurt you, something that would really make you feel bad, or a negative experience. Maybe you received it in love. Maybe you received it in this or that. You're gonna find clues, but to simply assume that you're gonna receive back money tenfold, no. And that also reminded me, I'm gonna end with this because this video got really long, but that reminded me the one time in which I gave money and I received money in return. Was that once, I was in my local bakery and I went to I was buying some bread, and the guy was really, acting bad. The service guy there, who was packing the bread and everything, and they were really, they were eyeing me, and he was eyeing me, and he was like acting really negatively and so bad, and I was already mad, from other things that were happening in my life. I was already, not feeling that good, and that guy was talking very, very rude and very negatively, and he was acting very negative, and ignoring if I'm saying anything, not even looking to me when I'm talking. And my first reaction, my first feeling was that I wanted to react. I wanted to say something, negatively. I wanted to bring it to his attention that he was acting negatively, and that's not acceptable customer service. It's coming from my ego. This is all from the ego. It's unnecessary. But the thing is, I held myself back. I was like, why? I don't know what this guy is going through. I don't know what he experienced. He could be going through such bad times. Why would I make it worse for him? Why would I do this? And This time he gave it, and I just, and I felt, how would it affect me? What would it even matter to me? This is just my ego acting up. And so I chose to not act according to it, up to it, upon it. And this time specifically, I chose to tip him way more than I would normally do. And I did so, and his expressions completely changed. It was as if I, give him a miracle, as if I'm, really gave him a miracle. And he was like very grateful. He would normally take the tip, and he would be grateful. He's a nice guy, in general. And so, but this time, and I felt it, and it made me feel really good about myself, about him, about being in help, about being able to help that person. Although I was really going through very, very bad financial times at that point. I had a restaurant, and it was so deep into debt, and I was really struggling, and I was really suffering, but I chose to do this. A few days later, I got, 30 times more of this. So 30 folds, or 30 times more the amount of money I gave him, the tip that I gave him. It was nothing. It was like I gave him $3, I think, the equivalent of $3 in my local currency, and it was a good tip. It's a very good tip relative to, in general, you're not required here to give a tip or anything, because he's just packing the bread for you. And then I received the equivalent of like $100, a little bit than $100, which is like 80 or something. So that was the only time that really I saw, and I've broken down that experience also to bits and pieces, because it got me wondering what was happening differently there. What was all the hints? What was different about me giving that time than each and every time before that I gave? And it got me some answers. It made me realize other things. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning into another video by AfsConsciousFrequency. Sorry for the long video. That one went way longer than expected. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, because it helps me so much, and it helps this video find its way to many more others who might actually need it.